So Tesla stock is currently down nearly 11% year to date at the time of the recording for this video, and I just want to provide an update of Tesla from a fundamental standpoint, a technical standpoint, and also just touch on some of the, sentiment around Teslas. That's something that's been pretty huge for the last couple of months. Starting off with the technicals. I know on this channel you guys love it when I start off with the technicals and kind of move over to the fundamentals, and so looking at things from a technical perspective, Tesla's kind of in a pretty bad area right now. Now, again, we have to wait to see what ends up happening in the next few trading sessions. But the reason why Tesla, I say, is in a bad area is because we're currently in this low time acceptance zone. Now, if you don't know what that means, don't worry. I'm going to go ahead and break that down. See, right over here on the left-hand side, we have the market profile, which is, an indicator that we often see a lot of fund managers use, which kind of just measures the amount of time that we see price in a certain area. And so we see that, around these areas, there's a lot of consolidation. Price spent a lot of time around these areas. But around here, we have this kind of gap, right? This low time acceptance zone is what it's called. And we're kind of moving straight into that area. And so that zone is kind of categorized by low liquidity, meaning that the market didn't spend too much time transacting at these areas. And so when we see kind of Tesla enter into these areas of low time acceptance, we tend to see fast moves, which increases volatility as there's thin liquidity, right? That the auction was pretty thin between the buyers and the sellers around this area, and so that's why there was kind of this rapid move. In fact, when we were seeing buying pressure, we saw Tesla stock push up. Well, if there's selling pressure, Tesla stock could push down. That's pretty much what you end up seeing in these low areas of liquidity. And so as we're falling down, one of the things we have to be aware of is that if there's more selling pressure, meaning there's more sellers than buyers around these areas where there's this low time acceptance, well, we're going to see Tesla stock fall down much quicker than if it was around these other areas where it's consolidating. So we may see larger candles. Now, you can't jump the gun on this because as we enter this area, if we see buyers step in, well, we could see that big bounce, right? And that's kind of what we saw previously. We saw Tesla stock start falling down. And then as we just entered into this low time acceptance zone, Tesla stock bounced up and then hit this area of resistance over here. Now, we're, again, approaching this area. Are the buyers going to go ahead and step in and say, look, this is a great area to buy into Tesla? Or are we going to see the Tesla, the sellers start to step in and then quickly accelerate price action downwards, something that we kind of want to be mindful of, right? So be very cautious of Tesla. I always say you don't want to just buy the dip because the dip can always get dippier. You want to wait for confirmation of an uptrend, something that I talk about within the Push and Profit private group. You want to wait to see for that bounce. You don't want to just jump in yet because we could easily see Tesla stock fall down rapidly. Now, looking at things from a point and figure chart, right? This is a chart that you don't really see very often, but it's a chart that takes away time and price, so you could just kind of look at the price action. And what we're seeing here, the box size is $5, so it marks an X going upwards or an O going downwards every time we see a move of $5, and 3 is the reversal amount. We would have to see it reverse by 3 times for it to transition to the O's, right? So, or to the X's, right? You don't see consecutive X's or consecutive O's. X's mean that there's an uptrend. O's mean that there's a downtrend, right? And so what we see here is that we're kind of, at this downtrend here with Tesla. If we move down an additional $5, essentially you would see another O here, and you wouldn't see it reverse back into the X until we saw a reversal of 3, like 3 or $15 upwards, right? So that's kind of how you would interpret this point and figure chart. But the main thing that I want to highlight is that we're seeing some downward pressure when we're looking at things just from a technical perspective, and around over here is kind of where we see support, and that's kind of around and I don't have the price shown here on the y-axis, but if I did have it shown there, it would kind of be around the low 300s, which again is pretty interesting because that was previous resistance in the past. And so you have the principle of polarity where previous resistance ends up becoming new support. Again, doesn't mean that stocks have to bounce up at these areas. Of course not, right? That's not how the market works. It doesn't work based on these squiggly lines. But when we're doing technical analysis, we're just trying to map out areas that are of significance. And so if we do fall down here in this low time acceptance zone and we fall down, we're going to want to watch for the low 300s, because if we break down below that, well, that's concerning. But that could possibly be the next area where we bounce on it. So just kind of wanted to highlight that. Now, I also wanted to talk about Tesla from a sentimental perspective, right? What's the sentiment around Tesla? Now, we have Peter DeCarlo. He's also on YouTube and on X, and he talks a lot about Tesla stock. And this is something I wanted to share that was a bit anecdotal, but it kind of leads into kind of the sentiment for Tesla, right? He said that he took the Cybertruck out for Saturday morning on a drive, right? Now, he owns a Cybertruck, and he mentioned that at least 7 people flipped him off. And then he kind of just goes on to mention that, you shouldn't just, there's nothing to respond to, hatred is its own curse, etc., right? Nice message there, right? But the reason I wanted to share this, and again, I know this is anecdotal, but we're seeing a lot of hate for Tesla, right? This isn't just him. If we go on, anywhere, right? We see here on X, we have kind of Sawyer Merritt showing how Tesla mentions that they're going to be pressing charges for vandalism at their superchargers, because we're seeing a lot of vandalism. I actually blurred it out here. Because we all know that YouTube may end up restricting or even just deleting a video if it's kind of it has bad stuff in there. And so the stuff I kind of blocked out has some pretty bad stuff. This word over here, I'm not gonna say it. It rhymes with paparazzi, and there's a symbol for the word that rhymes with paparazzi, and we're seeing vandalism all over the place. At the superchargers. We're seeing people who own Teslas like Peter DeCarlo with his Cybertruck getting flipped off as he drives. We're also seeing, just people saying, the F-bomb on Elon, right? And so sentiment for Tesla has been pretty negative, especially as we've seen Elon Musk kind of delve more into politics. We're seeing people who are even on the right side, who are very pro-Trump, more conservative, right? Start to even have a dislike for Elon, especially as, we're seeing kind of a lot of job cuts, a lot of job losses in the public sector. Again, not trying to delve into politics here. You guys know that that's not what I like to do. That's not my favorite type of analysis. Of course, we have to take that into consideration, but I don't really like to delve into that. The reason I'm just showing this is because we're seeing kind of like this bad taste for Elon and for Tesla, and that of course hurts, brands, right? The brand kind of recognition. We talked about how in Europe, Tesla sales are declining like a rock, especially in Germany, which, by the way, Germany just had they're having their election, right? But yeah, we're seeing Tesla kind of have its brand really tainted by Elon Musk kind of having this strong political affiliation. Before he was kind of more of a moderate, right? People on the left, they didn't hate him. People on the right didn't hate him. He was kind of more on the middle side of things. But now, as he kind of moved towards the right side of the spectrum, well, that's where you start to see a lot more kind of hate going on. But regardless, let's talk about fundamentals a bit. And I have this screenshot from Gary Black. He's a fund manager, and in his fund, he has a large position for Tesla. And this is pretty interesting because it kind of talks a little bit about the fundamentals and how he believes he was wrong, but also kind of leads back to the sentiment, right? He says, I've been wrongly bullish on Tesla for 4 years now. Over that period, Tesla has underperformed NDX, that's the NASDAQ. So Tesla 50 versus 67%. And some folks here criticize me for not being bullish enough. LOL. So Gary Black is a big Tesla bull, right? And sometimes he kind of has some skepticism about how much Tesla is going to grow. And he gets a lot of hate of people saying, you're not thinking big enough. Tesla's going to continue going up. And he does get like crucified for that. Which, it happens, right? I get crucified, especially when I talk bad about Tesla, right? Again, I'm not, hating on Tesla. I'm just covering what's going on. People say, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Now, here's Gary Black. He's a fund manager, and even him being bullish is just, he gets crucified for not being bullish enough. Now, he says, I was rightly bullish on Tesla from October 2019 through February 2021, where Tesla returned, look at this, 1,683%. versus a NASDAQ of 75%. Now, let's not get it twisted. 75% through this period is great, but it doesn't compare to like what Tesla did, right? People became rich off of Tesla from 2019 to 2021. When I first bought Tesla stock, right? Which interestingly, I actually had Tesla back in 2017 and held through this period. But I guess in his fund, he first bought Tesla stock around 2019. Anyways, now he mentioned, as an investor, I try to learn from my mistakes. The biggest reason Tesla underperformed over the past 4 years was that Tesla earnings plunged as competitors caught up in the EV space and forced Tesla to cut margins and sacrifice volumes. Now, that is true, right? He goes on to say that the combination caused auto gross margins to drop by more than half, from 30% in 2022 Q1 of 2022 to 13.6% in Q4 of 2024. Meanwhile, annual delivery growth slowed sharply in 2023 and actually declined for the first time in 2024, right? We actually saw the story of Tesla kind of get shattered or broken a bit in terms of delivery numbers, and now we're kind of concerned about how delivery numbers are going to go in the future. Now he goes on to say, if Troy Teslike, who's an independent analyst for Tesla, he has really good forecast. If he's Gary Black is saying if he's correct with his lower number here, that's bad. He's like, this has caused investors to abandon management targets of 2030, deliveries of 20 million offered during Tesla's October 2021 annual shareholder meeting, and reiterated by Elon many times. And so he's kind of saying that a lot of investors are losing faith, including himself, right? Because we've had Elon Musk, as he mentioned in 2021, in the annual shareholder meeting, kind of share this number of 20 million, deliveries by 2030, and we're looking like we may not hit that, right? Now, you often have the people who say, look, you can't bet against Elon. This is a time to buy. And then you also have the people saying, maybe it's enough of buying those stories, right? Kind of like how he's talked about fully self-driving for almost a decade now, and it has not been solved, but we are getting close. We're seeing some improvements. Again, at the end of the day, I'm not here to force you to do anything, right? This is not a buy or sell recommendation, and you should only buy or sell whatever you see value in, right? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Gary Black. Don't listen to Peter DiCarlo, who's also on YouTube and X. Don't listen to your grandmother. Don't listen to anyone, the CNBC pundits. Do whatever you see value in. Now, with that said, we're at a pivotal moment for Tesla. If we see a bounce, that may be a good area to actually scoop up some more shares. If we don't see that bounce and we actually break below in this low time acceptance zone with the market profile, well, that's kind of a time where you gotta be a bit more concerned, but the next area would be around the low 300s. With that said, hopefully you guys got some value in this video. It came out a little bit later than I typically do, but make sure to check out this video right over here, and I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care, guys.